Let's turn our attention to stone and stone masonry. This is Chapter 9, FSW Building Construction Materials class. Here you can see right on the cover we have the stone quarry, the tools that are needed to harvest this quarry, heavy machinery, cut slabs, and a mountain that has the proper material. Let's discuss the geologic stone types. Different kinds of rocks for different purposes, all having a beneficial value and use. Igneous rock. This is developed in a molten state. This object that we see now is granite. It's been crystallized and mainly quartz and feldspar. It has a glossy appearance, very tightly compacted molecules, and is formed over time. Second one of the geologic stone types is sedimentary rock. These are formed from particles deposited by wind and water. They tend to come down like sand, and then they get solidified. Here is limestone. It's calcium, magnesium carbonates from marine organism sedentary deposits. Around here in Fort Myers, you can see the courthouse that we have downtown, or at least the art building, has sedimentary rock, but it also shows the relief of ancient sea creatures. Usually you have shells, you might have a trilobite, you might have old plant types that were embedded by the wind and water and over time solidified. So you get nice designs with that. Here's metamorphic rock. It's formerly igneous or sedimentary rock transformed by heat or pressure. You remember that heat and pressure can create a diamond from coal. Same process here. We're pressurizing the stone and we have created a marble, or the earth has created a marble, metamorphosed limestone. Commercial stone comes in a variety of types. For commercial purposes, building stone is classified into these 6 groups according to ASTM C199. And they are granite, limestone, quartz-based, slate, marble, mainly for interiors, but it has also been used as a building material, and other. From the granite group, we have igneous rock. This is the perfect covering material for veneer, or could be used as whole block. It's non-porous, strong, it's durable, suitable for exposure to severe weathering and ground contact. Plus the variety of shapes that you could obtain, and also different color factors go into making a very nice granite wall. Granite was chosen for many of state courthouses, at least up north. It has many colors, and it can accept many finishes, including polished. The polished version of this is also very lustrous, so you could shave off the rough surface and hone it down and it will polish up. Not without some effort, by the way. Limestone group. Sedimentary strength and porosity vary with density. Colors from white to gray to red, and normally has a textured finish. A few can be polished, but limestone being more easily obtainable and at less price. And also the fitting, the masonry work here is pretty cool. They've been able to stack in the rubble area nicely spaced pieces of smaller limestone. Limestone is workable because it's relatively soft, so you can chip away at it and make finishes faster. You can even cut it using particular types of saws. It's more subject to weathering and erosion in comparison to granite. Because granite's been around and created under greater pressures. This limestone group, because it's sedimentary, it'll tend to be like the volume of sand, slowly start weathering away. It's vulnerable to even mildly acidic rainwater, so it can show scars, and it can also show chips in an like a very clear way when you have it chipped. If you think about it, this is the kind of stone that when the ancients would make their hieroglyphics, or they would make stone carvings, this is kind of the stone that they would seek out naturally occurring. The quartz-based group: sedimentary sandstone from quartz deposits, brownstone, just like the tenements in New England are largely made of brownstone, and some varieties of bluestone are varieties of sandstone. Bluestone, very interesting looking color that comes out of it. In the quartz-based group, it varies in density and porosity. The color is often light but may vary significantly with types of materials that bind the quartz particles, and it cannot be polished, so it keeps its rough, saturated look. Up-and-coming slate group: metamorphic rock. It's derived from shales, mineral clays, pressed over time. It's dense, hard, non-absorbent, closely spaced planes of cleavage, and a variety of colors. And one of our favorite groups that we like for the kitchen, and also entry hallways to government buildings, judicial offices, is the marble group. Metamorphic, it varies greatly in physical properties and appearance, many colors, and it's sought for because of these colors and the extensive veining. People love to look at the different striations, just like you would love to see fat on a T-bone steak. These are interesting patterns, and people can cut them thinly enough so they can make a continuous wall that sort of has the same look. And these are easily polished. The marble group includes other stone types that can take a high polish but are not geologic marbles: limestone marble, onyx marble, serpentine marble, etc. Big business. So you can always see in Fort Myers many trucks always carrying loads of polished marble slabs off to a job site. Here's a little snippet of one of the local manufacturers using a lot of robotics to take care of and deburr the marble. Also, a lot of human effort goes into it, and you can go see the showroom. And some of the most important uses in the interiors department are for kitchens. Here's a very nicely done. And this has also spawned a whole set of plastic countertops, Durastone, that are artificial stone-like look. You can always tell if it's truly marble because the marble will be cold to the touch, whereas a plastic will be room temperature. So that's your one way of knowing that you're dealing with real marble. Many nice examples of what can be done with marble. It's a very luxurious product, and hence that's probably why everybody seeks it. I like it, but then the cost is another thing. I don't like the cost, but I do admire it as well. So let's get back to our slideshow. Let's take another look at something you might find in more of a bathroom in a hallway. I think this is even here on campus a lot. It's travertine, partially crystallized patterned calcite, chemically similar to limestone. It's similar to marble in physical properties. And on the exterior, we have other groups, the others: alabaster, greenstone, schist, serpentine, and soapstone. Depending on where the local quarry is, it also will tell you what kind of price you're going to pay for it and availability. How is this all done? This heavy construction work is needed. The long-bladed diamond saw traveling on the rail makes deep, long cuts into the solid rock. Please check out my video files to see this in action. Quarrying. Closely spaced horizontal holes are drilled into the vertical face of a rock to create a plane of weakness near the bottom of the saw cuts. not shown. So look at that big old blade. And it looks like it's on a rail. Well, maybe not, but that's one super blade. Quarrying. Rubber bladders are inserted into the saw kerfs and inflating, causing the large slabs to fall away from the rock. Nicely cut, too. If you've ever worked with a glass cutter and you score it, it's something like this. Because the stone is so hard, it can fracture, and they're depending on this fracturing to be a way of cutting the stone. Steel wedges are driven into the separate slabs and split them into smaller blocks. And this is how they also dig tunnels, or at least in the older style of digging tunnels. So you can, if you go up near Pittsburgh or you go along the Appalachians, you can actually find tunnels and stuff that you can see where the pins were inserted and how they removed rock. But you do get these nice shaped blocks, and they're stacked and they're ready for transporting to the mill. Here's the milling. We have the bandsaw and the circular sawing. So heavy duty machinery, same process as wood, more or less. But you can also do great things with limestone and also with marble as well. With the human touch and the right pneumatic materials, or just a good old hammer and chisel, you can actually sculpt these elaborate architectural forms that have been well sought for throughout the ages, especially during the time of the ancient Greeks and their city building, where temples and porticos were the call of the day, and all this fluting that comes down to us as design. Milling, planing, and a variety of other shaping and surface finishing operations. And it looks like you can see that this is passing through, and each time it goes down, it's creating a curve, and it's creating some architectural intrigue with these different layers. How are we going to select stone? Not only from our code book, but past history, a good predictor of future performance in similar conditions. You could actually use this for anything. Economics. What happened in economics? A good predictor of future performance is what happened in the past. You can do petrographic analysis, microscope analysis of mineral content and structure. You can eventually go to laboratory testing, the more sophisticated scientific way, testing for water absorption, density, compressive strength, dimensional stability, freeze-thaw resistance, chemical resistance, flexural resistance, etc. And most likely you'll have to do laboratory testing to get through your codes to prove, unless it has that long history of use. Stone selection. High density and low water absorption correlate with greater durability. Okay, so low water really helps, and we seek our low water because we're constantly trying to shed water off our building and move it out into the sidewalk. We have granite, limestone, sandstone, and marble with their characteristics, and things that would be very interesting to engineers: compressive strength, modulus of rupture, and flexural strength minimum. And here's the density. Stone selection. What is that modulus of rupture? Strength before rupture. The flexural strength are important characteristics when thin sheets of stone are mechanically hung from a building frame. To explain this would mean if you were to take a deck of cards, how long could they stay stiff until, say, you had a house of cards? As you added pressure, what's going to make that house of cards move? What's the magic number? And here are the magic numbers, how much you can stack onto it. But remember, your modulus of rupture, you also want to rely on wafers or some kind of spacer to give you a little bit more space if the tension comes down. From ancient times, please see the video about the 12-angled stone of the Inca. But we can do things, but we do our things rather crudely. We don't have the ancient technology. And you can see our stacks are not fitting with almost a water-resistant way. Water still gets in there because we're going fast and we're doing many of them, and we're under the time bell and under budget, so we come up with things like this. But we do see where our craftsman has, here is natural rock, and so someone with a little talent has chipped and etched away to create that radius to fit in. This may be dry set, meaning just stacked and left alone without mortar, or set on shims with sealant filled joints. Just depends on how much you want to batten down the hatch. And usually it's not that important. You can always restack it. Rubble masonry is squared stone blocks. And rubble masonry, they're just unsquared stone. Whatever they got out of the pit, they may finish the face surface, so it's not completely unquarried. They may just do one side and then try and fit everything in there as they begin their stack. This is really important. Check this out. So depending on how you stack all this stuff, all these different patterns, you can make very nice shapes, and you can sell the shapes for profit. So random laid without continuous horizontal joints, or they can be coursed, laid with continuous horizontal joints. This one seems to happen naturally. This one takes more effort because you're not just lining up at the top here, you're lining up with each course. But really, if you think about how they make veneer, there's at least a nice seam through here that if you were to pour this in concrete and make it look like stone, you could see how you could just create modules. So this is a good pattern that might be better mimicked in concrete. And also they sell huge segments that are already connected. They're called the modular blocks. Here are squared blocks. They can be individually set, which takes a lot of time, or they can be set at the factory and then reassembled. They could be numbered, or they could just be set as sheets in the factory. Take a look at the floor. You'll usually find this kind of activity happening. Is it random or coursed? Here's the random ashlar pattern, very elegant, and the coursed ashlar. Now I'll end this PowerPoint with just what's going out in the field these days. Is you can save money and you can increase the value of homes by adding a veneer thin sheet of these panels that mimic stone laid walls, and they come in a huge variety of manufacturers and different looks that you can get. This is always the upsell if you're going to become a contractor. This is where you make your profit margin and also please the homeowner with their look, that they're actually getting more for their money because the materials of their home look much more expensive than maybe priced out, but you also would see that this is a significant markup on your bottom sheet. And many different varieties, so take a look out there and see what you can find. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you next time at the Building Materials PowerPoint Show.